Alright, here we are for our first match. With, first official match anyway with Izzet Blitz. We're gonna mulligan because I can't cast anything, so. Okay, I guess so. Alright, well, that works. Look at hand. Because the thing about, I think, like, Duress and Thoughtseize, right, is its target player reveals their hand, I think. That's why it puts over here. While this is just look. So it, you get the point. Gush. Well, Gush is not bad. Gush is certainly not great. Unfortunately, Kiln Fiend is not great either. Alright. Opponent played another Swamp. Well, now it's not bad. I think I'll still play Elusive Spellfist. No, I guess Thermal Alchemist is actually just better. Because if I draw a Tandem Lookout... Not Tandem Lookout, what the hell am I talking about? Spellfist, then this is going to draw me 2 cards, is where this would only draw me 1. So, let's see. So they played a Swamp. Whoop-de-doo. I'm assuming we're on their turn. We are not on their turn. Alright. I guess we'll wait for my opponent to come back. Okay, now we're on their turn. And they use Read the Bones. They played another Swamp. Bam, bam. Guess we'll see what they do. Bottom, top. Okay. All right. Another island. Well, it doesn't really do much. I think I'll just play Spellfist, leaving up a blue. And I'm gonna just poke now. Just because there's really no point, I guess. Allows me to F6. No, I guess there's no point in poking right now. I would play the Kiln Fiend, but since they have a Sorin's Thirst and a Disfigure, there isn't really a point. Mono Black Control is a horrible, horrible matchup for this deck. It is, historically, in my opinion, the worst matchup of all time for this deck. Because there's just too many Edict effects, there's just too many kill spells for you to weed through. I guess is the word, even though I'm sure I'm using that word completely wrong. But the one good thing is that we have a bunch of X3s, I guess, right now. So, but, looks like my opponent's going to use 2 removal spells on the Thermo Alchemist. I could Gush in response, but I don't really think I want to. Okay, so they're going to go back to 20. Which they're going to go to 19. They're going to Disfigure. Okay, so now I don't know any of the cards in their hand. They're all a mystery. Fair enough. I'm not going to save it. Or try to Gush to get a mutagenic growth to save it. This is more important. If I have to, like, get through something, or rather save my spells for Spellfist. Huh. A Lookout. Well, that's pretty good. I guess we'll just go for it. There's anything I can do. If they have another... I'm sure... I am dead sure they have... What? If I had Gushed, I would have actually saved it. No! Oh well. I'm just going to play Kiln Fiend here and pass. I'm not going to Gush. I could Gush, but... I think missing a damage is worth saving the Gush, so... There's that. The good thing is I have Edict Protection right now, because I can just sack the Spellfist, which is good. And it's not Spellfist I was looking at, it's actually Tandem Lookout. I can't believe I actually remembered the name, because it's such an abstract name. The picture's really cool, though. Their gear is really, really awesome. They kind of look like, the first boss from Bloodborne. I don't know if any of you know who I'm talking about. I don't remember the guy's name. The guy that, like, turns into a werewolf or something halfway through in the second phase. A Grey Merchant, huh? Okay. So I'm going to take 5 here. Yep. Taking 5. Alright. Let's see if we can make some magic happen, Captain. Yes. Always yield. Always yield. Start off with Preordained, which is a really good draw. Into a mountain and a ponder. Hold on a second. So taking a look at the deck list, the only other reason we would need a second mountain over another blue source is a lightning bolt. So, in that case, I don't think there's any reason to actually keep the mountain on top over drawing another island. But I guess with Gush, we would draw another island anyway and replay it, so... I mean, yes, if we draw specifically Lightning Bolt, but I don't think we need this. But I do want the Ponder. I do want the extra cantrip. So let's go ahead and Ponder now. I'm pretty sure we win this turn. Unless my opponent has Snuff Out, which would really, really suck. And there's the Lightning Bolt. But I think here we're going to take the Sleight of Hand. Nope. And then if I Sleight of Hand... Alright, so let's go ahead and... Because I didn't play a land yet, right? It's actually super important. I didn't play a land yet, I hope. Play Swamp, play Grey Merchant, cast... No, I didn't play a land yet. Okay. So we're going to Sleight of Hand now. Get these two cards off the top of my library. Gush. Hopefully draw another Mutagenic Growth or a Gitaxian Probe just to filter in a bit. We'll take the Bolt. Go ahead and Gush. 1, 2. Go ahead and do that. Didn't draw any free spells, but not bad spells either. Alright, so let's go ahead and attack. For currently 18. Opponent's going to block the Kiln Fiend, no doubt. Or at least I think they will. Guess we'll find out. Okay. So let's go ahead and Battle Rage. I don't want to cast Mutagenic Growth because I'm pretty sure I win the game just by this alone. So if my opponent reacts with the Disfigure, I can Mutagenic Growth in response. Because that's 6 unblocked damage, and then this is 16 double strike damage. So it's 12 plus 16, so what is that, like 31 points of damage or something? I'm pretty sure I win the game. I could be easily very wrong. Nope. Take 12, and then take a whole bunch. Alright. Oh, negative 13, wow. One sec. Alright, so got a little lucky and won that game. There's no real telling if my opponent has a bunch of Edict effects, but I'm going to take out the Elusive Spellfist anyway. And the reason for that is I think that Stormbound Geist and Deep Analysis to try and go a little longer is probably going to be better. Since my opponent is running things like Disfigure and Sorin's Thirst, I think I probably want some number of Dispels and Mutagenic Growths. Bolts are probably not going to do very much. I think if I'm going to kill my opponent, it's going to be in one big swing, and I don't think Bolt is going to help that. So I'm going to bring in 2 Dispel and the other Mutagenic Growth, but I'm not going to bring in a 4th Timber Battle Rage on the draw. I think a 4th Timber Battle Rage on the draw is just not good. I can tell you that so far from playing a bunch of games, I don't know if this card is actually better than Augur of Bolas, but the problem is in this deck, you're playing... Oh, excuse me. You're playing so many creatures that Augur of Bolas has a very high chance of missing. So that's the main problem with it. But I don't know. I mean, I'm definitely gonna try the other version as well, where it's just Augur of Bolus and stuff. But it's definitely worth looking into, because I think in the other deck it just replaces Delver with Augur of Bolus, and that deck only plays what 12 creatures, is where this deck plays 16 creatures. So that extra 4 creatures could make a huge difference. You know, I don't know. I definitely like the idea of the Lookout plus Thermo Alchemist plan, but the problem with the Lookout Thermo Alchemist plan, I think I'm going to keep this, is that, you know, the Lookout dies to literally everything and anything under the sun. From Gut Shot to, you name it, Doomblade, Agony Warp, things like that. So, I don't know. We'll ponder. Alright. I kept this hand because I think Devil Thermo Alchemist is going to be really good. I have the Stormbound guys, and I have the Deep Analysis trying to kind of fight the long game. So I think this hand pretty much has almost everything we need. We just actually need to be able to cast all of our spells. Just go ahead and get an island here. Pass turn. Okay, now I pretty much have almost everything that I need. I was kind of hoping to draw that later, but... oh well. Guess we'll just see what happens. Alright, Phyrexian Rager. That's cool. So my opponent is pretty much playing mono black control, but they're playing Sorin's Thirst. It's pretty interesting when you think about it, because it's also even good against burn, right? Because you can just, like, target your own dude. So that is pretty interesting, and the Cobras are out here now, so... Alright, so... I drew an island, so I have a choice now. I can either play the second Thermal Alchemist and Ponder, or I can play out the Stormbound Geist. I think the Stormbound Geist is probably going to be better in the long run. And I'm just going to pass, because I am going to block with the Thermo Alchemist, so... we'll see what my opponent does. Okay, so my opponent is attacking. I'm just going to block. And if my opponent wants to use a removal spell, I'm going to mute Agenda Growth, so they have to use 2 removal spells. The other good thing about playing Stormbound Geist here is now any Edict effects that my opponent has or draws later, if they have them, which I'm assuming they will, are going to be very, very not alive. I don't want to say they're dead, because obviously they're not dead. I mean, an Edict effect and then a removal spell takes care of this guy, or 2 Edict effects, but... you know, you get the point. So, you know. Ooh, read the bones. Okay. See what my opponent does here. Bottom top. Okay. Fair enough, fair enough. Interesting. My opponent either chump checked or rethought it. So that's cool. Alright, so let's go ahead and attack for 2. We're definitely playing Ponder this turn. So, most likely playing the other Alchemist as well. What is this? A Disfigure. I could mute... so they did have the Disfigure, but they want to use it on the Stormbound Geist. That's fine. I don't think there's a reason to save it. If my opponent has an Edict effect, I'll probably just either sack an Alchemist or sack this dude. It's not a big deal. So let's go ahead and poke. Ponder. And not auto-yielding. Do not auto-yield to that. Do not be stupid like I am. Ooh, a Kiln Fiend, a Cyclops, and an island. Oh, the island, I mean, it's pretty much really, really good. So, I think instead what I'm going to do is actually just play the Kiln Fiend and draw the Cyclops next turn. Nope. So we're going to go ahead and play Kiln Fiend and then pass. So now I have really good Edict Protection. I have a Mutagenic Growth to save him from a Disfigure or a, whatever the hell it is. And I'm not quite sure if I win next turn. I wasn't planning on winning next turn. I was planning on taking a turn off. But maybe I should have planned for winning next turn. I suppose, hopefully, if my opponent taps out for a Grey Merchant, they're going to gain 3 and go to 18. And then I'm going to have 3 uncontested damage to put them to 15. They're going to have 6 toughness to block with. And I'm going to be able to go at least plus 5, 6, 7. And they're going to be at 12. No, they're going to be at 11. Yeah, I'll definitely win next turn. So that's something to consider. Alright, so my opponent played Grey Merchant. Actually, my opponent's going to be at 10 because I forgot I could poke this turn. So I should win next turn, assuming that my opponent does not play Snuff Out in their deck. Which, again, would be very, very unfortunate for me. But, what are you going to do? Nothing you can do about that. Alright, so let's make the Cobras happy. We're going to poke. And we're going to float and gush. Oh, wait, hold on. Let's do... By the way, never tap mana and then do this, because then if you rethink what you're going to do, you can't untap your lands. So, don't ever do that. Make sure that before you tap your lands or anything, you use abilities like this. 1, 2. Yep. Do a little pump pump. It's a lot of lands. Holy crap. Alright. Let's go ahead and poke again. Growth. Pay 2. We can, however, auto-yield to Kiln Fiend. That doesn't actually make a difference. Yep. Goes to 9. Poke again. Red. Some Red Battle Rage. So that is 12 uncontested. So that is 12. So yeah, unless they have Snuff Out, I'm very, very certain that I just won the game. Not going to poke just yet. Because that's basically 18 damage just by itself. I want to make sure I don't mess this up or misclick or anything. Tech, tech. Let my opponent do what they wish. I wonder if this deck would benefit from Simian Spirit Guide. No, I guess not. I guess it would only be if you draw Simian Spirit Guide like off of Gush. Is like realistically the only way. Just order them in the correct way just in case. And alright, so they go to 8 and then they die. Sweet. Well, traditionally mono black is a horrible matchup, but my